Hi everyone. I'm making this video to help out my students and potentially other students who are struggling to understand the distinction between genre and method or mode of delivery. And I want to first start by saying for certain things, these overlap a lot or they're intricately connected. And so I want to empathize that sometimes it's difficult to be able to distinguish. So for example, in an assignment, I just had a lot of students who were saying, I'm doing a magazine article, and although that is technically a genre, when you think about genres as something that develops from a discourse community, a specific group of people who are communicating together for a specific purpose, you realize that something like magazine article is actually more of a mode of delivery, and that there's specific subgenres or even genres of magazine articles. So this video is going to kind of talk through some examples here to hopefully help drive home that point between the difference of, say, saying that, you know, a genre is an email, or a genre is a web blog or a website, or a genre is a magazine, when it's like, no, you want to think about both kind of the combination of the discourse community that's producing it and what the function of that piece of writing is, and that will help you distinguish a more specific genre. So let's start with, even though I'm talking about magazines, what I have to do is kind of work from their websites here. So Hot Rod Magazine is, you know, for car aficionados, and they're interested in doing things. Actually, I'm going to go up here. Let's go to Classic Trucks. So Classic Trucks, you would imagine, is a magazine that is dedicated to folks who are interested in classic trucks and they want to learn more about them. And so if we go up here and we look at the types of articles they have features cars. So these cars, features car, new cars, project vehicles, barn finds, those are all what we would generally call a profile article. So a profile is something that just kind of gives a targeted story about a person, place, or thing. And in this case, so they're all profiles, but even the fact that these are different categories drives home that they're different genres. So the barn finds profile, for example, you can bet if we go to barn finds, part of the profile, or part of the genre of the barn find profile is a picture that includes where the car was found, because that makes sense. It's called barn finds, right? So part of this is you're finding these cars in old places. So this, you have it tucked away and looks like something like an old storage unit, and down here we have one that's tucked away. It looks almost like it's in a garbage pit. So it makes sense that the barn finds profile genre, a part of that genre is an image showing where the car was found, right? So similarly though, in car magazines, how-tos are usually really important. So there's whole genres of how-tos, and the fact that these are broken up into, you know, specific elements, and I imagine that if you took time to do a genre analysis, you would get a sense of what are the things that have to be included in a paint and body how-to. For example, I'm betting specific types of paint or the chemical makeup would be important, whereas in engines, they might not take time to talk about the chemical makeup of the engine oil, or they might. I don't know. This becomes one of this is not my genre. And similarly, so if you have events magazine articles, things like place, location, are these events that are like advertising that the event is coming up, or is it an event article about an event that already happened? And those genres would be different, and the type of information and how it's presented would be different. And it's going to be different for something, you know, like a car versus, so let's click over here to Wired. Wired is a magazine that's about technology, right? So Wired similarly has profiles, articles about person, places, or things, and they've got subcategories here. But if we go and look at the gear category, well, the gear category is going to be something like a review. It's going to be like, okay, so here's this new technology that's out. Let's play with it and assess it and see whether or not we think it's going to work and do what it's supposed to do, and if our audience likes it and will like it. And the science genre, you can imagine that you know, Wired science articles have to tread a delicate line between with the vocabulary they use and how scientific and how specific it is versus Wired is to a more general audience. It's not necessarily, you don't have to have a PhD in physics to be a reader of Wired, but if you're talking about a specific topic related to physics, how, you know, they have a level of a balance between insider and more generalized language in these science articles compared to, say, peer-reviewed scholarly articles from a physics journal. That would be a different genre, even though they might be talking about the same topic. Okay, so Car, Wired, fashion magazines, same thing. You've got a lot of profiles, you know, things about person, places, or things. And if you go down, what you start to see in these fashion articles is you start to see, or fashion magazines, you start to see the listicle subgenre. So the listicle is the idea that it counts down certain things as a genre. So we see 30 most awkward moments. Obviously, as a part of fashion magazines, again, kind of like the car one, there's how-tos. So we have a vampire makeup tutorial, and we have how to create the most wearable unicorn makeup look, but then also evaluations. Hey, here's, you know, Lush has a new product and we're going to review it and evaluate it for you. So both of those subgenres are here in the beauty section. And of course, men's GQ, same type things. You're going to see things like, let's go to best stuff. I mean, the best stuff is inherently evaluative. And so what they've done here, interestingly enough, is that they've combined evaluations of things with listicles. So they're presenting them as lists of, here, we've evaluated these products for you. All subgenres, but they also have profiles as well, articles about persons, places, things. News, I mean, just even looking at these news sites, radically different. You can tell that there's a different kind of purpose audience, intended audience for news. But news sites, like these magazines, have a variety of different sections and the genres that emerge in each section. So technology might include both something that's more informative, more profile. Also, it might include evaluations. Obviously, the whole point of opinion sections is evaluations. And then we have the Wall Street Journal. And the nice thing here is that, you know, you'll notice with newspapers, they might have world and US and politics, but knowing that there's a slightly difference of focus on the Wall Street Journal from Los Angeles Times, say, compared to US News and World Report, all of those, that angle would mean that even though they have these similar categories, kind of the genre of what it means to produce a world article for Wall Street Journal is going to be different than what it means to produce a world article for Los Angeles Times. And so that's why you do genre analysis. I hope this helps in getting folks to understand how genres are specific things that do specific work and emerge from very specific discourse communities.